everyone. So a few days ago, I put a post on LinkedIn which says that we are working on an optimizer which would help users to give up their mutual fund portfolio and instead create the same portfolio using the index funds. And the reason why we are motivated to do this is the hefty expense ratio that is charged by mutual funds. You see, the mutual funds being actively managed, they charge about 1.5 to 2.5% every year from user of the total wealth that is managed by the mutual funds. So for example, if a user has invested throughout his life and accumulated the wealth of 1 crore or accumulated the portfolio of 1 crore rupees through different mutual funds, on an average, he would be paying about 2 lakh rupees every year as the management fee for managing his portfolio, right? This is a big amount. Comparatively, the index fund would charge only a smaller fraction of it. So that was the first motivation. And secondly, we have observed that when you invest in multiple different mutual funds, you collectively make some proportion of index fund only. So that's also a reason why you should switch to index fund instead. So that would free you up from the risks that is arising from the fund manager decisions or human tendency, human decisions, and so on, right? Because index funds are passively managed; they don't have the fund manager risk to it. Okay, so now how do we do this? Is basically we ask user to give what mutual funds they invest in and how much amount they invest in. Okay, and using this fund ID, we have the data for the mutual fund, which we scraped from the different websites. And this is data as of February 24. This is real data. And say, for example, we select MBS 831. This is Aditya Birla Group's mutual fund, and we have the constituents for them. And this is the amount. In the column E, we have the amount that is invested in each constituent. And in the column F, we have the proportion of the total amount that is invested in a particular stock. Using this information and the user's investment schedule and investment proportion, right, we can calculate how much user must be getting or how much user must have got last year, for example. So I've calculated this, and this comes out to be 52%. So this says that, like users say that I invest in this 39 different mutual funds, the amount would be 1,000 rupees. Collectively, he would have earned 52% return last year. And we also calculate an HHI score at the sector level. And HHI in general is a measure for diversification. And its full form is Herfindahl Index. And it is basically, we have calculated it as a sectoral level. So the number of sectors you are well diversified in, the score get lesser. So lesser the score, it's well diversified. And higher the score, it's more concentrated. So we want to also ensure that in the process of creating the index fund portfolio, we don't want to increase this number too much, right? We don't want to be concentrated in any particular sector. So we have in total 3 goals. The first one is to increase the overlap with the existing portfolio. So say user says that I have invested in this different funds, we will break down in the stock at the stock level, and essentially we want to create a new portfolio using the index fund which overlaps with the existing portfolio to a large degree. And we also want to increase the alpha. Alpha is basically how much more you are getting from the benchmark. So here I'm setting the benchmark of 52%, which user anyways was getting using the mutual fund portfolio. So I want to increase the return from 52%. So for example, if I manage 60%, I get about 8% of alpha. And we also want to ensure that this number doesn't shoot up to very high, like say 5,000 or something. Now we get the index fund data, we run some optimizers, goal programming, and on top we also have set up some heuristics. And running on different iterations, we finally reach to a stage where we can recommend to user that you should invest in ID 11, 0.06%, ID 12, 8%, and so on. Now this ID 11, 12 are different index funds, which could be Nifty 50, Nifty 100, and so on. And we have a map showing which IDs for which index fund, right? So, and this totals up to 100%. So basically, if user essentially gives up the mutual fund portfolio that he has now and switch to the index fund portfolio that we recommend, he would get the alpha of 8.3%. So basically, he would get 8.3% more per year. This is an expected return based on the past performance of this fund. And he would still have the 53.85% overlap with his existing portfolio. So it's not that we are switching to altogether different portfolio. He will still have a significant overlap with his existing portfolio. And sectoral HHI has increased, but not so much. Like it didn't shoot up to say thousands and 5,000s and so on. It increased marginally, which is still ballpark okay to me. We can obviously change the weights weights of the optimizer, and we can land up in different solution, which might be more acceptable to some users. But say, for example, to me, if I were a user, this improvement looks better for me there. So I would have taken this. And we can run this optimizer through, we can ask users what exactly they want. What is their priority? Is their priority to increase the alpha, or their priority is to increase the overlap, and so on? And depending on the priority, we can change the weights of the optimizer and get the different results that is acceptable to user. Yeah, thank you.